Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Hill, a longtime educator of nearly 40 years as a teacher, counselor, professor, and vice principal, and I've seen just about everything public schools can throw at you. And now I'm sharing my tales on my comedy podcast, Vice Principal Unofficed. It's where school leadership meets laugh out loud stories. From underwear required parent teacher conferences, yes, really, to staff lounge confessions and more, you won't believe. I'm telling it all with humor and a whole lot of heart. I also tackle the serious stuff too, like what schools really need to change and those behind the scenes moments no one talks about. So if you're ready to laugh, learn, and maybe even cry a little, but mostly laugh, join me and my 90-year-old mom, my unofficial co-host, on Vice Principal Unofficed. New episodes drop bi-weekly on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast fix. Trust me, this is one detention you'll actually look forward to.
Think about the walk. From the moment a student's name is called to the moment they take that diploma in their hand, it's about 30 feet. At a steady, nervous pace, that's about 8 seconds of walking. But as an educator, you know that those 30 feet are actually a 13-year journey. In those 8 seconds, there's the ghost of a third-grade reading intervention. There's the memory of a middle school coach who didn't let them quit after a losing season. There's the invisible presence of a custodian who high-fived them every morning and a registrar who spent hours fixing a transcript error so that this moment could even happen. We often treat graduation like a logistical hurdle, a sea of caps, gowns, and microphones that just won't stop feedbacking. But today, we're pausing. We're looking past the tassel because graduation isn't just a ceremony for the students. It's the physical manifestation of your invisible labor. Today, we're talking about legacy.
This is Your Morning Boost, recorded in the Forward Ed Network studios. A weekly spark for educators and school leaders ready to lead, teach, and live with greater intention. This is Your Morning Boost.
Good morning, boosters. Welcome back to Your Morning Boost. I hope your coffee is doing its job and that you've had at least one moment of genuine quiet before the school day takes over today on a Wednesday. We have reached that point in the year where the sprint is almost over. And if you're like most educators that I know, you are operating on a mix of caffeine, sheer will, and maybe a little bit of nostalgia. When we talk about graduation, the outside world usually talks about it in terms of outcomes. They talk about graduation rates and scholarship totals. But those are just the data points. They don't capture the process. There's a concept in sociology called the long shadow. It's the idea that a single interaction, a single moment of being truly seen, can influence a person's trajectory for years. In education, we are long shadow builders. I want to tell you about a teacher named Mr. Henderson. He taught high school civics, and he was known for being tough. But every year at graduation, he did something unusual. He didn't sit in the VIP section with the other faculty. He stood by the side of the stage, right where the students would walk off. He didn't say much. He just caught their eye, gave a small nod, and sometimes a quick, "I knew you'd be here." One year, a student who had struggled immensely, academically, socially, behaviorally, everything, stopped in front of him. This student had almost dropped out 3 times. He looked at Mr. Henderson. He said, "I'm only here because you kept my seat warm." Mr. Henderson had spent 3 years making sure that that student felt like there was a place for him in the building. That's the invisible labor. It's never evaluated on a rubric. There's no standard 5.1 for making a student feel indispensable. But without that invisible labor, those 30 feet, they don't happen. To apply this today, I want you to perform a legacy audit. Take 5 minutes today, not to look at your gradebook, not to look at your roster. Write down the names of 3 students that you've seen grow this year, not just academically, but as humans. Maybe it's the student who finally learned to advocate for themselves. What was your role in that? Keep that list in your pocket. It's your anchor when the logistics of the next 2 weeks get a little loud. Now, before we move on to how we build an ecosystem of success across the whole building, I want to take time to thank our segment sponsor. Finding the right fit for a leadership role is perhaps the most critical task any educational organization faces. Grunmeyer Leader Services provides a research-based search process that prioritizes fit, culture, and future growth. So whether you are looking for your next principal or your next superintendent, GLS ensures that the person you hire is ready to lead with heart and strategy. Visit www.grunmeyerleadersearch.com to learn how their expertise can support your building's legacy.
This segment of your Morning Boost is sponsored by Grunmeyer Leader Services. Since 2013, GLS has been a trusted partner for school districts across the Midwest, specializing in executive recruitment and leadership support. They believe that great schools start with great leaders, and they are here to help you find the perfect fit for your district. Transform your school's future with the right leader at the helm. Visit grunmeyerleadersearch.com to learn more. Grunmeyer Leader Services, transforming education one leader at a time.
Okay, welcome back. We are talking about graduation, but we're also talking about it through the lens of the entire school building. One of the beautiful things about graduation is that it highlights the ecosystem of success. No student graduates because of one person. They graduate because of a system that refused to let them fall through the cracks. On graduation day, the spotlight is often on the high school teachers, but I want to talk about our elementary and middle school boosters for a second. You may not see these students cross the stage this year. You might have taught them 7 years ago. You might be the one who taught them how to tie their shoes or how to solve a multi-step equation. Research suggests that foundational belonging, the feeling of safety established in the early years, is the single greatest predictor of graduation. If you are a kindergarten teacher, you are the architect of that student's graduation cap. You provided the structural integrity that allowed them to keep building. I remember a school secretary I worked with a few years ago. Her name was Ms. Clara. Every year, she would attend the high school graduation. She'd sit in the back row with the program and her highlighter. She would highlight the name of every student who used to come into her office to borrow a Band-Aid or to call their mom when they forgot their lunch. She said, "I'm not the one who taught them math, but I'm the one who made sure they felt cared for enough to go back to class and learn it." That's the supportive staff perspective shift. If you're a bus driver, a custodian, a paraprofessional, we are all the seams of the system. If you know a student who is moving up to the next level, maybe leaving your elementary building, write a quick note to one of their future teachers. "Hey, you're getting Adam Bush. They lead with a lot of heart. Just wanted you to know it." It ensures the student doesn't start from zero, and it honors the work that you did with them. Now for our leaders, principals, department heads, all of you that are managing this graduation gauntlet this time of year. You are dealing with seating charts and nervous parents. It's easy to let the manager brain take over and forget the leader heart that becomes a big part of this. In season 3, episode 10, we talked about the psychology of transition. Graduation is a moment of profound shift, and as a leader, your job is to be the culture mirror. When you stand at the podium, your staff is looking to you to see if you still see the why behind the what. I knew a principal who used the final faculty meeting for a gratitude circle. She would name a student who had a difficult journey and point to the staff members who played a huge role. Maria is crossing the stage. Coach, you kept her on the team. Mr. S, you tutored her in chem. This moves the graduation from a student event to a team victory. It makes the invisible labor visible. So take 10 minutes to walk through the empty gym during setup. Look at the empty chairs. Then send a 3-sentence email to your staff. "I just walked in the gym. It's quiet now, but on Friday, it will be full of the impact that all of you have made. Thank you." As we get closer to approaching this end, we have to talk about the emotional taper. We need to avoid the post-graduation crash. The most meaningful connections often happen in the quietest moments of the final week. So I want you to try a final 5 strategy. In your last 5 days, identify 5 people for a real conversation, not about grades, but about impact. I worked with a teacher who had students write legacy letters to a teacher from their past, somebody still in the building, just to say thank you. Imagine being a middle school teacher and receiving a letter from a senior saying, "I still remember the book you gave me in 7th grade." That is how we replace exhaustion with purpose. If you're a leader, Do this for your staff. Find 5 staff members and tell them one specific thing that you will remember about their leadership this year. It ensures you land the year with clarity rather than just depletion.
You're doing incredible work in your classroom and community. Isn't it time the world heard about it? Welcome to The Commons, a dedicated podcast channel on the Forward Ed Network, built specifically for educational professionals like you. We provide the platform at no cost. You bring the ideas and the passion. We provide the reach to share them with the field. Ready to start your broadcast? Ready to share your knowledge with others? Email us at admin@forwardednetwork.com and join the conversation today.
As you head into the rest of your week, hold on to one thought. You are more than the finish line. The machine of school cannot measure the mission of the heart. There's no asterisk in the program that says graduated because a teacher stayed late to help them process a loss. But those are the invisible wins that build a community. And when you watch those students walk those 30 feet, see your own reflection in their success. You were the anchor. You've earned every bit of this celebration, so go out there and enjoy the view from the side of the stage. You built the bridge that they are walking on. Thank you for being part of the work, and thank you for spending your time with us. We appreciate everything that you do for your students and your community. It's going to be a great end of the year and a great graduation class of 2026, and only because you have made that happen. Thank you again. We will talk with you again next week.
That's your morning boost from AWB Education and Media. If this episode helped you reset your thinking or take your next step forward, share it with a colleague. And don't forget to subscribe so your next boost is ready when you need it. Keep showing up with intention. Keep moving forward, and we'll see you next time.